with Mask and Psychomantis and a few other people as well. I see Stream Millie is saying welcome to me. I'm welcoming you as you come on board here. And this is my first time doing this, a live stream. So I'm going to be learning as I go along here. I guess what I'm going to be seeing is messages from you coming up on the screen. And I will do my best to answer your questions. I have all the prints that everybody ordered with me and a variety of markers for autographs and quotes and whatnot. So, wow, everyone can hear and see me. I'm in the show. That's what it's telling me. Are you in the show too? I'm not sure. Messages will display here. So I'm not sure if everybody's joined in yet or not. I'm going to wait until I see a message. Until then, I'm going to have coffee. Ah, the Republic of Serbia. Wow. Sorry, a couple at once here. So let's see. Republic of Serbia, Southeastern Europe. Wow, Metal Gear Solid fan. Cool, cool. Well, I just recently got, as you can see in the wall up here, my own, finally got a nice Metal Gear Solid Psychomantis picture to frame here. Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch, this is coming from a Disney fan. Lilo and Stitch was originally what's called a looping job. One of the voiceover jobs I did a lot of, particularly in the 80s and 90s, was looping, which is providing voices for TV shows and films. And that sometimes would include animation. And Lilo and Stitch, I was originally brought in with a large group, and we were just going to do what was called the scratch track. It wasn't going to be the final track. All the animation wasn't complete yet. It was partially animated, and then there were sketches on the screen, and it was at Disney, but it was all over the place. And we provided all the voices that they could then continue animating to. And what I got really lucky about was that after the animators and Disney people looked at everything we'd done and they were reanimated, and they went, you know, that person was a young lady and myself. They said, those two performances are fine. We don't need to bring in other people to redo those. We like what those people did in what was supposed to be just a scratch track, not the final. And I was lucky enough that they kept me. Inspector Gecko, I believe the character's name was. So that was magical. It's always magical working at Disney, going to the big studios. Like anybody, that's a big dream. I used to save my parking passes. When I first moved to LA and started getting parking passes at Sony and Warner Brothers and Disney, it was like such an exciting thing. That I'd keep all of those. So that was what was really fun about Lilo and Stitch, was that I didn't expect that I was going to be in the final one. What was it like recording the original game with Chris Zimmerman? Well, it was great. Chris is a terrific director. Very challenging role, very different than any. I've done heroes and I've done villains and a wide variety of characters, but Psychomantis, of course, is something very different, especially I think it was 98 or 99 when we recorded that. It was very different kind of a character. So we had to really work on discovering the voice and the character for Psycho. And with the description they'd given me and the drawings I saw and everything else, what I had in mind was that I didn't want him to sound like anything I'd ever heard before, because he seemed to me to be a character that was totally different than any character I'd ever seen before. So I experimented with the voice. I kind of added little tidbits of accent here and there, a little bit of Russian, a little bit German, pull it back, and just kept playing with it until Chris said, yeah, I think that's Psycho. I think you're in the pocket with Psychomantis. And we began to record. And what they'll do in a session is they'll start to record you, then they'll play back for themselves and for you to see, is everybody happy? Does everybody like the direction we're going in? And we found our Psycho, who Psychomantis was. And the more I did him with Chris, the more comfortable I got with where the voice was placed and what his attitude was, and we rocked from there. Other than exposing our memory drives, what was different about recording in Twin Snakes compared to the original game? There was only really two differences for me, and it is hard to remember, exactly. This is going a while back, quite a few sessions ago, but The first time we recorded Metal Gear that I recall was actually a studio in a house. It was probably more low budget for them at that time, and this was an unusual kind of situation for me and probably the other actors. I don't know if Cam and the other people did this, but we stood in a room in a house that had been turned into a studio, so there was no booth, there was no glass. It was me, a big screen and the microphone, and behind me was the control booth with the director and the engineer and everybody. By the time we did the second one, and me trying to figure out, what's the character going to sound like, by the time we did the second one, we were actually in a real sound studio, which was more comfortable for me. It was more the environment I was used to, in a more professional feeling environment. And at that point, of course, Chris and myself both knew who Psycho was and what he sounded like, and the vibe of the character. So they were able to play back what I had done originally, and plus Chris was able to give me the guidance if I got off at all, to bring me back in line with what was required. So that's, for me, the main things that I remember. You have to remember, my perspective as an actor is going to be a little bit different than the fan's perspective. Your perspective is going to be the performance and the script and the story and the game, etc. With me, so much of it is the performance and working with the director and the booth and the microphone and the microphone technique. We're kind of in a different headspace. What else have we got here? Okay, that's it for right now. So I'm going to pull out some of the photos here while we're talking. I can be autographing. So let me see what I've got up first. I don't know if Eric Natal is with us. Are you there, Eric? I don't see him. So I'm going to go to, okay, I'm going to go ahead and sign one right now while we're waiting, and then I'm going to answer the next question. So this is for Eric Natal. Just trying to get the print off here. They're all stuck together. He's obviously a Fire Emblem fan. So give me 1 second here, because I'm going to jump over to StreamMilly, because he wanted this specifically to have something written on it. So give me one moment. I'm going to do it in silver on his, because it's dark. He wanted me to write, "On my honor as a knight, I will shield you from all troubles." No, this is not a good pen for that. I'll try this one. Trying to find the right pen. Yeah, I guess it's going to be black. "On my honor as a knight, I will shield you from all troubles." Give me 1 sec, guys. Because I don't want to make a spelling error. Okay, going to jump back over to the live stream. So we got the first one done for Eric. Set that over there. Let's see. MP, seeing Psycho Mantis' voice was augmented because the mask he wore, was that a factor in coming up with the pitch of the voice? No, it wasn't really. They did that afterwards. And they did alter it slightly, and I had done the breaths myself, but then they doubled them up, because there's a lot of, you can't really and speak that quickly and have the breaths be that tight to the voice constantly, or you'll faint. So they took some of the breaths and doubled them up, and they would place them where they wanted them, and obviously did the augmentation of the voice afterwards. But I didn't alter my pitch because they were going to do that. I'd done that kind of thing before for TV shows and films and games. And what they do is they'll take your vocal tone, and that's their expertise. They'll then play with it and augment it the way they want to. to enhance the sound of the character. What's my favorite? Sanderson's sister from Hocus Pocus? Hocus Pocus. Oh my goodness. Hocus Pocus 30th anniversary. Embarrassing. Was I in Hocus Pocus? I might well have been. I don't know. I don't think I was. I've played I was in Casper and a few other ghost things, but Mr. Disney guy or lady, Disney Ainu Yaman. I don't have a favorite uh, Hocus Pocus character. I'm afraid. I'm sorry. I probably don't get to watch as much as you do, as much animation and other things as you do. So I may not be familiar with all the shows and anime and games that you're familiar with. But I'll take anything that you're talking about. I'll take that and file it away and see if I can watch it at another time. Now we've got one here. Speaking of that, a quick shout out to Psycho Mantis. I got into college. Oh, see now, Psycho. I have to remember Psycho. Pass me my phone. I haven't done him in a while. So I think I have Psycho. Oh, maybe not. Well, I thought I had Psycho on my phone somewhere, and I may have, but I don't want to. I can read your mind. I know what you're thinking. I know you're going to college, but you'll never learn to move a controller like I can. That works. Congratulations on getting into the college, by the way. Who was more fun to voice director? Voice director, I think you mean to perform. Um, Hashima and Digimon or Fukao? Oh, it's really hard to compare performances and experiences because the shows are so different, and sometimes you're performing them months and months or even years difference. There's the day that you're recording. Are you having a good day? Are you having a bad day? How are you feeling? Is the director friendly and having a good day? The engineer? Are there tech problems and whatever? How challenging is the voice uh, vocally? Um, I love doing every kind of character, whether they're what we would call heroes or what we would call villains or however you want to classify them. But it is fun for me because I used to do comedy on stage. If there's something comedic about them too, or something dark about them, if I can pronounce it right, Durarararara or whatever it's called, I had a character in that who was also masked. Let me see if I can find him. I don't know if we have a picture of him here. There's Psycho. But he's a character that stands out to me because he was a lot of fun to do because he was comedic, and that's always fun. I'm looking at all the different photos here. Oh, Psycho again. Oh, maybe I don't have one of his to show you. Maybe nobody requested it in this go round. Oh, thank you. My friend Ginny's here with me. Oh, I just moved it somehow. Thank you. Hold it top and bottom. This gentleman, he was fun because he had a dark sense of humor. Let me, because we've got a moment here, I'm going to jump to my next one, and that's a mask signing. This is for Shirley. I don't know if Shirley is with us live or not, but Shirley requested. And I didn't write on the back of that other one. I was supposed to write a number on the back. I'll have to get that in a moment. But I'll remember to do it with this one. Oh, see, I'm like doing more than one thing at a time. Just, confuses me. Okay, this one we're going to go with. Oh, I think we're going to go with black again for Shirley. And she didn't have any special requests on this one. Go back to the live stream. So I'm going to sign this one to Shirley. And I'm going to write mask on. and that's for Shirley. This was the cartoon series that got me to LA, hence the T-shirt, 1985-6. Um, this was a cartoon series, kind of like a G.I. Joe Transformers kind of a thing, and recorded in LA. I came here from Toronto, Canada, to record on it, and was fortunate enough that when I got here, I thought, oh well, I'll record this and I'll go back to Toronto. I mean, they don't need another voice actor Canadian guy down here. And fortunately, they were encouraging to me, both the studio owner and the production company who was doing that cartoon, the Mask Mobile Armored Strike Command cartoon, and said, "Hey, you're good enough to work in LA. Maybe you want to stay." Well, it's almost 40 years later, 1985 to 2023. I'm still here, and I'm glad I took their advice and stayed. It's worked out. Okay, I'm going to jump back over here and see. I'm going to mark that. And what do we have? Another mask one. And I'll just tell stories as I go, if that's okay. This is going to go to Andy. This is going to be number 7. Andy's also a Mask fan, which is great. So I've got that one for Andy. It's a cool, it really turned out nice too with all the characters. That's me in the center there. And that's me as well. That's Bruce Sato with the orange. And those are characters done by some other folks. Yeah, including the bad guys. I did do 8 characters in that show, which was fantastic and a wonderful experience. But none of the other ones are on that. Oh, stories are great. Oh, cool. Thank you. UK, yeah. Well, let me see if I can find yours. Just I'm kind of going in order there. I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, Mr. Ashby Cutoff. And here's to the UK. I don't know if you're aware, because I certainly don't look it, but I have a lot of British heritage. I have family over there, and my father was actually born in Glasgow, Scotland. Though his family before him were in England, Sheffield and elsewhere, but his dad moved to Glasgow, met a lady there, and that's where he was born. And then he immigrated to Canada, to Toronto, where I was born. So I've got a wee bit of Scottish. I like to think I have some Scottish in me, just for him having been born there. And having a Geordie sister-in-law too, which you'll know what that means by a Geordie sister-in-law. Well, let me just turn something off here that I had running in the background. Just got a notification that it was going. Let me jump to the next one and see if that's you. What have we got? Nope, we got Jordan. And Jordan has Psychomantis. And he does have something he wants written on this one. That's right. This is no trick. Psycho. I can read your mind. That's right. This is no trick. It is true power. That's as best as I can remember his voice right now off the top of my head. So that's right. ... This is no trick. It is true power. I'll sign that for him. So there we go. That one's done. Put that there. For those that are interested, I'm going to be in reprising something in Street Fighter 6, which is another game that I've been working on. Did I have an inspiration from Matt Tracker, who decided who he was? That was interesting. They auditioned for that in LA, looking for Canadian actors in LA, and they could not find their lead actor, Matt Tracker. And there was, I think, Bruce and Hondo and just a few others they hadn't cast. And they took the casting up to Toronto, where I was lucky enough to audition. Um, I had, it may sound like an odd story, but I looked at Matt and he seemed to me, he was a single dad and the consummate hero. And he seemed to me to be the calm in the storm of everything that was going on, even among the good guys who could get excitable at times, like Dusty and the others. Matt was the calm in the storm. Now, I had married a lady with a child, and I had adopted her child, and I was trying very hard to be a dad for the first time to a child. So with Matt Tracker, that kind of helped inspire me since he was a single dad to try to think of him not just as a hero fighting crime, but he's also a loving father. And he's also the father figure for all the other guys on his team, on the masked team. So that was kind of part of the inspiration to not have Matt, let's go get the men and whatever, shouting and being way out, but rather, let's get the men. We've got to protect them. We've got to protect the innocent. So calm, steady is really how I thought of him. Was it different, interesting coming back for the commercials? That was a funny story. I got a call from a company. And they said, we want Psycho Mantis to do car commercials. And I went, somebody's drunk. Somebody's joking. I said, I can't just do Psycho Mantis doing some car commercial for you. You have to get permission from the people who own a Metal Gear Solid. And they own that character and et cetera, et cetera. And I thought they were some very naive company. And it turns out they're very legitimate. They'd already spoken to the company. They'd already done several commercials with other well-known anime and animation characters. So I got to come back and do them. That's why I was checking my phone. I had to go back into YouTube because I hadn't done them in so long and record me doing Psycho on YouTube so that I could remember, get the placement of the voice again. I can remember standing in studio before I started playing my own Psycho Mantis voice to myself going, okay, okay. And it was fun because the people who did the commercials were Metal Gear Solid fans. So they got a kick out of working with me and recording on that. That was great. And I serve on the board of a no-kill cat shelter, the Kitty Bungalow Charm School for Wayward Cats here in LA. So I donated I kind of did a tenth of what I made for the commercials went to help the kitties. We save kitties, feral kitties from the streets and humanely control the population. So that was a wonderful thing, that commercial. Blessing. Q. Oh, Q-Tulf. Q-Tulf, okay. Oh, you're marrying into a Scots family. That's great. Well, I'm glad the accent passed muster. It's been a while since I've done it. I've had to fake. I've done accents for a lot of different kind of TV shows and films. And of course, I'm always forgetting his name, the nil by mouth actor. And I've told you the story of the famous British film actor who I had to be British with all day long. And everybody always forgets his name. Yeah. And I don't know if you can look it up, Ginny, or not. Nil by mouth. Oh, Eric, you saw your print being signed. Great, great. Fire Emblem, excellent. Yeah, I got hired to do looping to do voices on a film, and they said, we want working class Brits. I said, well, I do a British accent, but I'm not a legitimate working class Brit. They said, well, the director, whose name Ginny will give us in a moment or two. Director? Gary Oldman. The great British actor Gary Oldman had directed that, and he wanted working class actors. But the working class Brits they got didn't have the voiceover experience. So two of us had to go in, and all day long I had to talk like that. And I couldn't tell Gary Oldman that I wasn't working class British. I had to act like I was for the whole day. So we acted really shy so that he wouldn't ask us a lot of questions. Because what if he said, what pub do you go to? Who's your favorite footy team? Well, what drink do you, all these things we wouldn't be able to answer. So this gentleman, Randy, and I faked it for about 7 hours while the other guys engaged him in conversation. And we just get up and do the difficult work at the microphone. And he couldn't figure out why the two shy guys were doing that. And then we go back again and just stand there with Mr. Oldman. And we couldn't not speak like that the whole day long. Very exhausting, that was. Let's see who's next here for a signing. Lucas. Lucas, if you're there, we have another Psycho Mantis. Here he is. Do I have one or I have two? Every time I pick him up, I end up picking up two of them. There we go. Psycho Mantis. Okay, Lucas, we're going to stick with the The black pen seems to be working best for us today, Lucas. So here we go. I want to make sure I spell your name right. To Lucas. Mask on. Okay. So that one is for Lucas, and that's done. Put that on the pile of the finished ones. And don't have another question waiting for me, so I'm going to jump right into Austin, who also has this very same. It's a very popular print, obviously. This one that Stream Illy has had to make more of these than everything else. Could I write down any of my favorite lines? Okay, Austin. I will do that. My favorite line in this one has always been, I can read your mind. I just get a kick out of that. I mean, there's the ones about moving the controller, and I mean, there's so many great lines that he had, but that's one I really like because it's kind of creepy, scary, just like Psycho Mantis. There we go. We got that one for you, bro. Add it to the pile. I'm going to keep going. We've got special instructions, none. Mark complete. Just 16 on the back. Okay, but it doesn't say who it's to. So this is somebody anonymous wanting another Psycho. So I'm just going to say, I can read your mind and sign. There we go. Add that to the pile. Now, what else have we got here? I'm just going to answer. We've got a nice gentleman named Andrew from Stream Illy who's helping me out here. And he just made a comment, so I'm just commenting back to him. We've got Raj. Now, I don't know where you're from, Raj. I have been to India. I don't know if that's where you're from. I was in India at about 20 years of age when I was working. You know, I'd come from a generation that was very much into meditation and such. And I went there to see if I could figure out how to become a very good meditator and to become a Raj. To pardon me doing my accent. I can't help it. I just have to do them. To calm my mind that I might be a more peaceful man. That was my purpose, Raj. Okay. To Raj. Mask on. There we go. Hello, John Knight. I see you're joining us. Am I enjoying Bang Zoom Entertainment? Oh my goodness. I've known Bang Zoom since Eric Roman, the owner or co-owner, I guess. He and his wife were working out of the back room of somebody's house in the San Fernando Valley. He had just started the business. His wife was in one room wrapping up VHSs. It probably wasn't even DVDs at that time. And he was recording me in the other room. I think I'd just come in after Mona Marshall. I think Mona might have been the one who recommended me to them. So I've been with them for an awful long time, doing work with Bang Zoom. And I used to direct as well and had my own company, Doug Stone Enterprises. I used to direct Dynasty Warriors and a variety of games and early anime back in the early days. And I would rent the Bang Zoom studio sometimes. In fact, I'm going to be at Bang Zoom on Monday. Not allowed to talk about what I'm working on because we signed non-disclosures, but I'll actually be working for them on Monday. And also, I think I am allowed to say that if any Bongo Stray Dogs fans that we're now working on that. I have a continuing character, and that's ongoing as well. So, yep, Bang Zoom's old friends. Um, Blaze Blue. Oh, Blaze Blue. I don't know if I have any of the pictures here from Blaze Blue with me, if anybody had any of those. But I don't have a specific Blaze Blue memory, just that I had fun on that show. Um, as a performer, it's the writing, it's the character development and the writing. Oh, One Punch Man. Somebody, John is mentioning. Yeah, One Punch Man was a lot of fun. Thank you, John. Yeah, that's another one where it was a fun character for me to do. Sometimes you're somebody very straight. Could be a good guy, could be a bad guy, and you're just there to further the story and support the main characters from whatever, and that's great. You still give it your all. You do everything you can to make that character as alive as possible. But if you can get a wacky character who's a little off or a little interesting or a little different, that's always fun. Or if the writing is particularly good, if the writing's particularly interesting and fun and quirky, whether it's dark or comedic, but if it's just a little, not the norm, because when you do this for 40 years, a lot of times the works, some of the things start to look alike. You go, well, isn't that what they did in that other anime or that other game? Oh, this is different. This is interesting. This, I haven't seen this kind of a twist on the story or twist in the character. And those are the ones that tend to be the most memorable. Excuse me, a little coffee. My Christmas cat mug. Thank you, Ginny. Oh, yes, Falcon. Yes. Yes, Blaze Blue. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, miss. Of course, miss. Yeah, he was a dark character. That was it. That was an interesting show, Blaze Blue. That was fun. Um, Mob Psycho 100. Mob Psycho 100. You'll have to remind me, John, that I work on that. It's rare that I don't see everything even that I work on, let alone what other people work on. And Stream Millie is saying, oh gosh, yeah, I can't remember. I'm sorry, but I can't remember Mob Psycho. Ginny's just showing me the character, but I can't remember it. Sorry. Oh, the gag reel in Blaze Blue. Yeah, yeah. Gag reels are so much fun. Sometimes they put together a gag reel, and I used to do comedy for a living, so sometimes I do goof if we're like ahead of schedule and having fun, and the director's relaxed with me. I might rewrite a line just to make everybody in the booth laugh, and they'll throw that in the gag reel. Or sometimes they'll just specifically say, "We want to create a gag reel, so everybody's going to do this or everybody's going to do that." Um, when I was doing, I did all the Hercules and Xena TV shows, my voice group, and one time Xena had fleas in her hair, and they said, "Well, we're going to speed it up. Yeah, nobody's going to be able to understand anything anybody says." And I said, "In that case, let's have everybody talk like Joe Pesci, even the women. So all of us with Joe Pesci being fleas in Xena's hair." And they sped it up, and the girls on the group loved it. It was so much fun for them to try to do a Joe Pesci, and they sped it up. And if you see it on TV, you can't make out what the fleas are saying. But we had a hilarious time, all being Joe Pesci complaining about being fleas on Xena's head. So it's fun doing gag reels. Hiroshi Yapi and Miguel in Mob Psycho season 2. Yeah, I'm sorry. Ginny showed me a picture, and I'm sure I have. It's been 41 years since 1986 or 7, almost primarily voiceover. So we're literally talking. The IMDb has maybe 400 of my jobs. I think it's probably 2,000 sessions I've done, something like that. If you average 2 or 3 sessions a week, a year, that's 150 sessions over 35 years. I mean, you start to do the math, you're getting up to 4,000 different. Now, sometimes it's just one session. I don't mean different projects, but it turns into thousands of projects. So it's hard to remember each one specifically. And I know I don't mean to insult anybody who has a favorite, but that's just the way it is. One of US's, oh, as in Mask, yeah, thank you. Bruce Sato. And Dusty Hayes thanks you too. Ooh-wee. Still remember the voices a little bit from that one. Hunter times Hunter. I seem to have good memories of that one. Again, it's one from a long time ago. I don't know if that was Hunter times Hunter or Hunter versus Hunter. but I have good memories of that one. Let me jump back over to Streamily and see who I've got here next. It doesn't say who, but it's a Naruto. Let me find my Naruto print. I just want to make sure I get everybody because we're about halfway and I just don't want to run out of time. Let me just number this. And what they've asked me to write on this one, the dad, Itachi promised me that you will take care of Sasuke. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And he's saying you rocked as the character. Thank you very much. So let me write that. Itachi. Promise me that you will take care of. And get my name on there. And there we go. That one's complete. Flip back over here. So that one's done. Add that to the pile. Let's see. A lot of time in the booth. Have I ever gotten tired? Oh my goodness, yes. It's exhausting sometimes. I mean, depending, certainly some video games can be exhausting because of all the fight stuff. For every effort you do 3 of each one for them to choose from. So 3 light efforts, 3 medium efforts, 3 heavy efforts, 3 excruciatingly heavy efforts, and the same with deaths and wounds and dying sequences. You're screaming. Or if you're doing voices for TV shows and films, like I used to do shows like ER and Chicago Hope back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, you're doing 8 hours on your feet of medical. So it can be a very tiring job. People may think that the voiceover is really simple, but you're acting, not just making a funny voice, you're acting, and it can be very exhausting in the booth. You're a Disney person, and so you're asking me a lot about Disney releases that I may not. Disney parks? You mean being at the Disney parks as a kid? I did go to Disney. Went to Florida. In fact, Lilo and Stitch. I am in Disney in Florida, or I was. I was approached years later by Disney, and they said, "We're doing a ride based on Lilo and Stitch. We have an existing ride we're going to redo as Lilo and Stitch." This is some time back, and the scene we want to do happens to be the scene where your guy is on the spaceship. So they give me all these new lines to read as him, and so I think I had more lines than any other character, and it became part of that game. So anybody who was in Florida on the Lilo and Stitch ride was hearing me chattering away to them as they were taking that ride, which was really thrilling for me, since as like every kid in my generation, I watched Disney TV and idealized and loved Disney. Sword Art Online English dub. 10th anniversary. Okay, cool. So that's 2013. I was so much younger then. I think I still had gray hair then, but happy 10th anniversary. Oh, I don't think I'm a hero, but thank you. It's very kind of you to say so. I'm somebody who got very lucky. I've been working since I was 16. I left school at 16, went to work, and I've been supporting myself, paying my own rent and food and everything since that time. I did a lot of different things between 16 and getting to this business full time, including working in factories and driving cabs and everything else. Because in Toronto, you just couldn't make. I did amateur theater, but you couldn't think to make a living in entertainment business in Toronto, Canada, in my generation growing up. So I'm very fortunate that I finally just said, I'm going to follow my dream. I quit my day job, went full time in the business, and thank goodness, knock on wood, I've been working ever since and have managed to make a living at it. So I just think of myself as a working actor, but I'm always thrilled if what I do means something to someone and moves you and entertains you and stays with you. Because I had Mel Blanc when I was growing up, that still stayed with me. So I get it. The things that, particularly when we're kids, the things that we see and watch, the animation and stuff, it stays with us. It gets inside us. So I get it. Mocap. I haven't done mocap yet. I've done some interesting things. I did something on camera in the 90s that didn't get released where it was a sci-fi thing. And I've done some sci-fi. I've done, I don't know if that picture's up there. Oh, it's way up at the top. I've done stuff where I've had a full body makeup on and stuff, so pre mocap. And in this sci-fi thing, which I hope gets done, I'm a mad professor. They built a huge mosquito, and it actually stings me at the end. So they have that going right through me and blood gushing out. It's really cool. But unfortunately, they didn't have the funding to finish it. Hopefully, they will. But I haven't done mocap yet. That will be very cool. Let me jump back over and see who we've got here. Dave is a Mask fan. Mobile Armored Strike Command. Let's find Dave's. That's what Dave is looking for. So let me just get that autograph for Dave while we're here. There we go. I'll share that with you. That's for Dave if he's watching. It's done. John, you keep track of the 50th anniversary of the, I mispronounced this, Gurren Lagann English dub. Wow. Man. It's this t-shirt was given to me by fans. It's now close to being the 40th anniversary. You want to talk about old school? 40th anniversary of this one. Anybody remember Tenchi Muyo in the 90s? I used to direct those and the early Dynasty Warrior games, among other things. Coffee, elixir of life. Digimon Data Squad for me and Naruto, my cousin Ryan, and many. Oh, excellent. Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Love Tenchi Muyo. Okay, cool. Yeah. I used to direct Tenchi Muyo, so I had some great cast. That was a lot of fun at a studio that's not with us now anymore. They did a lot of Disney stuff over there. Screen Music here in Los Angeles, a great studio. I used to go hang out there after I had other jobs. I go hang out there even though I didn't have work that night and just eat dinner and hang out with the engineers and everybody because it was just such a fun place to record. It was a great studio. And my pleasure. I got out of anime for a little while because I got so busy doing looping work, voices for TV shows and films. I did over 1,200 TV shows and films. So I missed on some of the peak years of anime. But I was really happy that I managed to get into Naruto, which, as we know, has got legs. That show that has got legs. So it's really cool that I managed to get my foot in there with those folks. I used to work at Saban in the early days too. Saban actually wrote the music. They were a music company. They wrote the music for the Mask show, and that's how I hooked up with them. They were just getting into voiceover work, and I think they had footage of what's their big famous TV show? Not Ninja Turtles, but Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Sorry, old memory. And we were looking at early footage of that show when it first started, and they were trying to figure out how to get that dubbed. So I'm old. I go back a ways. Voiceover actors who played characters throughout. But yeah, I'll tell you something strange that happens. Strange and beautiful. Because Matt Tracker was such a dad figure, when you're doing the work, you don't realize the impact things have. And when I first went to conventions for Mask, I had grown men come up to me who at 7 or 8 years old had been watching Mask, some from broken families, some who maybe didn't have a dad in their home, and almost tearfully telling me how much that character meant to them. And man, I even now I get choked up about it. It's amazing the impact you can have. That's why you've got to take the work seriously. You've got to give it everything you've got because you don't know who's watching and what it might mean to them. And we're so privileged to be able to do this for a living. You've got to give it everything and all your heart when you're working because it can move people and it can stay with people through their lives. It's important. I think it's important. Captain Anon. Well, and so on. And so it goes, Captain Anon. Captain? Not humble. I think I'm just practical. Try to keep my feet on the ground. It helps going to the cat shelter and cleaning cat bums. The Kitty Bungalow Cat Shelter, I started volunteering there 12 years ago, and then started to do more administrative stuff, and then became a board member. I actually do a voiceover. Watch for it online. I do a voiceover auction every year. I'll be doing it in the fall with all my wonderful voiceover friends, all around the world, not just in LA, who donate swag, and we auction it off for Kitty Bungalow every year to help the kitties. And so that keeps you humble. That helps keep you humble when you're cleaning litter boxes. um, oh man, John, you've got the anniversaries of everything. I remember that character. Yeah. Oh, that's the character. Yeah, yeah. Josie is the first name, right? Or Josui, Josui. Thank you. Daniel, fellow Canadian. Yes, yes. It's all so different now. When I was starting out, there was hardly any voiceover industry. I was supplementing my theater career and some on camera work that I was doing up there with commercial voice work, doing characters. But there was really no animation industry per se up there in '85. But now, of course, things have grown massively. I could go back and try to get established and earn a living there, but I'm here and I'm known and whatnot. But it's been remarkable to see how it's grown in Canada and all the great talent that's come out of there. It's been incredible. Joan, you've heard about that auction? Yeah. Yeah. It used to be called Voices for the Voiceless. It's been renamed. But if you guys and gals, anybody, if you look up Kitty, Kitty Bungalow, Charm School for Wayward Cats, just Google it. And there'll be a little thing that says events. And eventually, under that events thing, right now there'll be an art show, and eventually, I might even have it in there that on coming in the next few months will be the voiceover auction. So be sure to check that out. It's a lifelong cat person. Oh, I know Kira. Sure, Kira has helped with the Kitty Bungalow stuff. Yeah, Kira's wonderful. A lot of the voiceover actors are human beings, folks, and a lot of them are very sensitive people, and even the dog people. They're animal people. I've got a lot of friends who do rescue work and dog, and a lot of them are voiceover directors and actors and writers, etc. And all of us team up. I'll support anybody who's trying to do that kind of humane, compassionate work, and they do the same. So it's a wonderful support, a wonderful community support that I get to help the animals. I'm going to jump over here and see who we got next. We've got Mark, and Mark likes. I can read Mark's mind. I know what he wants. He wants this, don't you, Mark? I know. Because I'm Psycho Mantis. I can read your mind. I can read your mind. Okay. Mark that one complete, and that's for Mark. That goes on the pile. Oh, is that yours? Great. Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, Matt Tracker Mask has a big fan base in the UK, which is great, and which still exists. There are actually fan clubs around the world. I've got about 4 Mask T-shirts that fans have gifted me from their fan clubs, which is amazing. And occasionally, I'll do online interviews for either Mask groups or groups that want to reference Mask and ask me questions about Mask. So yeah, it's amazing that that's still going strong. Going to jump back over, and what have we got? Ethan. Ethan is also a Metal Gear Solid fan. I can read your mind, Ethan. All right. That is for Ethan. If you're there. Didn't get it. I'll have to go back to find it. Thank you. Forgot to mark the number on the back. Streamily will be mad at me because they got to know who they're sending it to, and they identify them by the numbers. Well, hello. Wolf Rizki? Rizki? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. I beg your pardon if I'm not. Um, I've worked with a couple of people named Wolf. Sometimes WOLF, sometimes WULF. Not always German. From different countries. Oh, Stoner in Eureka Seven. That flashes back to my very old days. I don't know if I have a picture of that there. Uh, although Stoner, I won't say Stoner was a stoner, if you know what I mean. But let's just say I was around in the 1960s. Okay. So when it came to playing Stoner, as soon as they said the name Stoner, I went, "Does he look anything like this guy?" Because that was me back in the day. For a while, as I say, I left school young. For a while, I hitchhiked and traveled like a lot of people did who were kids of the growing up in the 60s and made sandcast candles, made furniture, did a lot of funky things before I got into voiceover. Any mask memorabilia? Yeah, yeah, not as much as many people have, but I have a mask board game. I have some of the figurines sitting up there. Well, actually, Jim, do you want to grab the right under the board game? That might be something folks haven't seen. Thank you. This was actually at a convention, which was really cool. I didn't get to see. I would keep checking out stores all the time here in LA, and I found it very hard to find figurines. And they're just tiny ones over there. You don't have to bother, but they're in front of the Xenas and everything. Those little ones. Yeah, thank you. So I've got I don't know if you can see them without the glare, but I've got some of the characters. That's Boris Bushkin. In Nash, I think Nash Gorey sounded something like that, as I recall, but he was bad. So I've got some stuff. Uh, my office here is filled with posters and paraphernalia from shows that I've been in. That's a mask thing up at the top up there. Theater and voiceover and some on camera work that I used to do. So I've got lots of stuff. Um, adopting needy kittens in Norfolk, UK, terrific. Uh, as Matt Tracker, yeah. Well, there you go. Matt Tracker would help kittens. You know that's true. Matt and the team would help any little animal in distress. So, yeah, if you're doing it as Matt Tracker in your head, you're doing Matt Tracker's work because Matt was about compassion and about doing the right thing and operating from the heart. Always the right way to go. Oh, you're welcome. Response to your letter when you were in the USA, you're very welcome. 20th anniversary of Paranoia Agent. John, I was telling you, I don't remember this. I don't remember that. I remember Paranoia Agent because that was weird. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it was so strange that it's really lodged in my memory. And I believe the gentleman who did Paranoia Agent, I believe is also who's doing, yeah, that's him. Exactly. It's the one I remember. And Jenny just showed me a photo. It was wild. I liked it. The gentleman who's doing it is also doing Street Fighter 6. So I'm actually going to be seeing him in a couple of weeks, reprising. I did an avatar in that game, and I'll be going back to do some stuff in it. The mask picture, yeah, it's way up in the top up there. Yeah, way up there. That's actually from the animators at the time. So it's really cool. I've got a few. Just can't move my screen around to show you, but I've got some pretty cool mask stuff here. I'm going to jump over and see who else we've got here. Got to write the number down though, right, Jenny? First thing I'm going to do with this one is write the number so that Stream Millie doesn't like come to my home and beat me up and say, Doug, we asked you to do that and you wouldn't. Now you must pay the price. And they'll send a real psychomantis guy to come and get me. Okay. So this is to John. And this is number 6 on the list. So I'm writing that down. He wants me to write, I can read you like an open book, which is one of the things I did say. So we've got that one done. Add that in here. Andrew from Stream Millie says they wouldn't come and beat me up. Okay, I'm just kidding, Stream Millie. I know you wouldn't come and beat me up because we're friends. And besides, don't think of me as Psycho Mantis. Think of me as Matt Tracker. Then you can't beat me up because I'm a nice guy. Matt Tracker's a hero, so you can't beat up the heroes. Not unless you're a bad guy, and I know Stream Millie isn't a bad guy. I'm going to jump to the next picture here. What have we got? We've got another Psycho, but it's a different picture of Psycho. I like this one, as you can see by the one that I have behind me. This is number 8. Oh, this is a long one. So give me a minute, kids. It doesn't say who it's to, but it's got a long quote, and I'll read it to you as I'm writing it. From the moment we're thrown into this world, we're fated to bring each other nothing but pain and misery. Wow. Unless we're saving kittens. This is going to take up, there's not going to see it. You're not going to see the picture of Psycho. It's just going to be writing. Nothing but pain. I should probably have saved this one. Sorry to take up all this time. Didn't realize how long it was. But I want to give the person what they want. It's useless. I can read your every thought. Almost done. See if there's some questions for me when I come back. Okay. I did get the number on the back. As you can see, that's a lot of writing, and I wanted to make sure I didn't goof up anything, so it took me a minute. Wallpapers printed and placed above my bed. Oh, wow. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 30th year. Yeah, I did a couple of monsters on that. When that was happening was when I was mainly doing looping work. As I say, I kind of pulled away. I wasn't working for Saban as much or whatever, but a friend of mine who's passed, Scott, was who had been an engineer, was then doing the directing. And he said, oh, come on in, we'll have some fun. I went up there and I was Eye Guy and a couple of other monsters. And one time I went in, that time I was Joe, do a couple of different imitations, like Joe Pesci and a couple of people. Danny DeVito. And I used to do Sean Connery. It's quite rusty now. But I was doing that in those days and joking around. And he said, do Sean Connery as one of the monsters. And I said, Scott, they'll get mad. They don't want Sean Connery's voice in a Mighty Morphin monster. He said, do it. If they don't like it, we'll revoice it. I did it and they kept it. So if you're watching a Mighty Morphin to this day, you'll see a monster who's very threatening, who sounds just, well, at least akin to Sean Connery. A book fell on my head the other day. I blame myself. Sean Connery joke. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Did I enjoy in Cowboy Bebop? Oh, John, so long ago. What I remember and loved about Cowboy Bebop, they were just getting started in their business at that time. I had worked with them at the very beginning, the production company and everybody there, some of whom have passed away. So that was, it's personal relationships. With the Cowboy Bebop, my memories of that are working with Les Claypool and Mary and the folks over at that studio, and the fun we had. And Joe Ramersa had been an engineer for me on stuff that I was directing for Saban, and I introduced him to those folks at Magnitude 8, and he became an engineer and a voiceover actor and a voiceover director and whatever. So lots of ties of personal memories come in from that one. Did I have a favorite character from Mask? I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't say I have a single one. I mean, obviously, I love Matt, and Matt was my doorway into the series, but I got a kick out of Bruce, the quiet Bruce, who just, everybody be like Dusty, especially, what's he talking about? And you had to kind of analyze. Bruce would say something very short and simple, but when you analyzed it, you realize, What he means is we need to go over the hill, find out where they've stored the explosives, and blow them up before they get into the town. That's what he means by saying those 5 words. So that was kind of fun too. And all the villains. It's always fun to be an over the top villain like Boris Bushkin and the other bad guys. So he's all favorites, all good for Boris. Nightmare Before Disney. Mulan. Okay, well, that's all cool, man. That's all cool. Disney stuff. Josh Keaton. Oh, you met some of his co-stars. Cool. I met the Xena and Hercules people, of course. Lucy Lawless and oh gosh, I've forgotten the gentleman who played Kevin Sorbo. Got to meet a lot of those folks too over the years when we were doing as I say, my group did all the Hercules and Xena voices for the TV shows and films. I actually won a couple of awards for voiceover casting for that, which was really cool. That was a lot of fun. We did over 220 episodes. Yes, the late Kevin Seymour was one of those people. I just didn't want to, I get sad when I say his name. But Kevin came to a studio that I was directing at, no longer around, Screen Music. And at that time, he and a partner were very interested in anime. We're just bringing over product. They said, we want to dub an anime. I can't remember, Princess something. I can't remember. Anyway, I directed what I think was the first anime that he had done, and I actually encouraged him to do a little bit of the directing. And then he went over and partnered up over at Magnitude 8, and I helped him, introduce him to people like Bo Billingsley and Steve Bloom and other people that I knew and had been working with. I was able to introduce Kevin to and Magnitude 8 to, and they got, their careers moved on from there to everywhere else in the world. So yeah, great memories. So Kevin and I Kevin was a big cat fan. When Kevin would call me to hire me, we ended up talking for an hour because he'd want to tell me all about his cats and ask about mine. So it was, can you work Wednesday? Yeah. 10 to 4? Okay, great. My cat has been, and then off we go for an hour just about cats. Bless him. Nice man, Kevin Seymour. Very cool. Let me jump over and see what we got here. We got another Psycho Mantis. This one is Fernando. And Fernando just wants me to include my favorite quote, so that will definitely be the I can read your mind. I can read your mind, Fernando. I think we've only got 2 more signings to go. So that's for Fernando, and I got his quote that he requested on that. Chris Mayick interviewing me? Sure. Interviews are always good. The only tough thing sometimes with the interviews is sometimes you tend to get the same questions. And they're all legit, but like, how did you get started in voiceover or whatever? And it's a legitimate question, and I know people are curious about how actors got into it. It's just when it is you telling your own life story, you get bored with yourself. I get bored with me if I'm telling my life stories and stuff. But yeah, it's always fun getting interviewed. Everybody's a fan and very sincere and whatnot. And now you want to know how I got into voiceover acting, right? Okay, so I'm in Toronto. I'm working a day gig. I'm doing theater at night, et cetera, et cetera. Can't make my living as an actor, but I'm doing theater because I love being an actor. And in the company, they say, we're doing what are called scratch tracks. I talked about scratch stuff before. In other words, these are for commercials that won't go to air, but they need somebody to voice the commercial so they can time them out and also see how they sound. So the person has to be pretty good at doing this, just not somebody who's stumbling through it. Everybody want to audition, so I auditioned on an old reel-to-reel tape recorder. Because I was an actor, they said, "Oh man, you're good. You come and do it." So I started to do that for them for free, just for fun. Got me out away from my desk, and eventually the guy said, "Man, you're good. I got to start getting you some money for this." And I started getting paid to do it. And I said to him, "Do you think I'm good enough to do commercials like outside of here?" And he said, "Yeah, get a demo tape." So I put together a demo tape, shopped it around, started to get radio commercial work in Toronto. And around that time, and also getting equity theater work, I said, I'm going to quit this very guaranteed good paycheck job and just go follow my dream. And that's what I did, and ended up voiceover became the major thing without getting into the whole long story. Let me see who I've got over here, the rest of the story. We've got another. Oh, yes, the gentleman I've been talking to. Q. Let me find, where is that Matt Tracker? There's the Matt Tracker picture. As if I was an agent of mask. Well, that's why I've been putting mask on. But let me do something even a little bit more. Since you wanted, I think that you secretly want to be an agent. That's my theory. Oh, 17. That in the back. So I'm calling you an agent in this and commanding you to get your mask on. So that's makes you one of the mask crew. No, you guys didn't annoy me. You guys didn't annoy me. I'm the one who did the how I started in voiceover. I told the story. Nobody asked me. Where are my kitties? I didn't let them in the room because what would happen when they hear me speaking, they assume I'm talking to them. So I'd be here and I don't mind the tail in front of my face, but sometimes Minnow Minu, the younger one, will walk on the keyboard and everything will cut off and things. And I've got all the pictures here and I don't want Minnow's footsteps all over them. So I put their food out there. They've had cuddles all day long, so they're not suffering. They've got lots of space. And once this is done, we'll be cuddling with them. Am I right? Will we be cuddling with them?
Of course.
We'll be cuddling with them. Don't worry. I was just at Kitty Bungalow on Friday, and I've got videos of my adventures there. Oh, MP, big Mask fan and a Metal Gear fan. Thank you. Well, that's cool. Yeah, those are the two. You never know what you're going to be most known for. Excuse me. But those two seem to be the ones that most people remember. You like the impressions? Thank you. I actually doubled for Joe Pesci. It turned out to be one of his worst films. I can't remember what it's called. He hates to come in and voice himself. Often on a film set, the main actor will be speaking, a helicopter might go over, or they might rewrite the line, or there might be some microphone problem. They ask him to come back in and loop or redo their own performance. So they'll see themselves on the big screen, beep, 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 and then they're supposed to speak the lines. Pesci hates it. So I've actually gotten paid to go in and beat Joe Pesci a couple times and say his line for him. I got no problem with that. Do I collect anime Blu-rays and DVD? No. I've got some that people have given me, but I'm a different generation. If I'm collecting, I'm going to collect Bugs Bunny. I'm collect Daffy Duck. The stuff that I grew up on that was more meaningful to me. So I have my paraphernalia and posters and different things, and I have some DVDs that studios and others have given me, but I don't usually go out that much to find my own stuff. Enough of it finds me, whereas you can see my walls are jam-packed and there's other rooms with stuff in it too. So there won't be space for me if I get too much into the collecting. Let me see what I've got over here. We're almost at an end, and I think I've got one to go, which is a Psycho Mantis. Yes, and coincidentally, it's the last one that I have. So thank you, Streamilly. You sent me just enough. I'm glad I didn't make any spelling errors so that I'd have to redo one of them, but not done. Okay, so this one, they don't have any special requests, so we'll just say, I can read your mind. And I did number it. There we go. That's the last one that I had. And by the way, Streamilly, for the Metal Gear fans, I don't have the date right in front of me, but if you look at Streamilly, I'm going to be getting together again. We just did a convention here in LA for Metal Gear Solid. Amazing convention, fan convention. They did a great job putting it on. And in September, there's going to be a Streamilly event, September 9th at 11 a.m. Pacific time, California time. I don't know if I'll be there live or if I'll be there on video, but a bunch of the Metal Gear cast is going to be there, and we'll be doing signings and chats and whatever. So anybody who didn't get a Metal Gear picture or print today who wants one then, either from me or from any of the cast members, I encourage you to check that out. Oh, Tony Bennett. Yeah, I have Tony Bennett. I don't know how we got into Tony Bennett, but I love music. I have over 12, 15, or 16,000 songs on my iTunes. And as Jenny knows, I just bought a new CD holder because I still keep CDs to hold my 600 plus, which includes some Tony Bennett. I love old jazz. I didn't like my parents' music. I didn't like nobody likes their parents' music, right? And I was no different. But I liked the jazz singers, the Ella Fitzgeralds and the Frank Sinatras and the Tony Bennetts. Some of the singers just blew me away. So I'm still fans of some of that music. I think there's great music. Everything I have in my collection isn't all from the 60s and 70s. I've got a lot of stuff that's more modern. I keep my ears open because every generation has great entertainers, great musicians, great artists, whatever. You just have to keep youthful, keep your ears open, and stay open to listening and experiencing new things. So yeah, rest in peace, Tony Bennett. Wonderful talent, wonderful talent. Well, kids, we've done an hour and 12 minutes. Um, so I think I'm gonna, unless there's some last question, I think I got all my signings done. So I think I'm gonna sign off, put my air conditioning back on because it's warm in here in LA, but I had it off so we wouldn't have a lot of noise, and open the door so the kiddies can come in. It's Queen Mimi, who's 19 years old. She used to be Mimi, but when she hit 17, Queen Mimi. She's a little bit arthritic and a little bit slow, a little bit cranky sometimes, but hey, she's 19 years old. That's like being 94 or 95, so she's allowed. And Minot Minu. I have a French actress friend, and I said, oh, I just got a new little kitten. I'm going to call it Minot. It's a little gray kitten that darts around. She went, Minu? How did you know that in France we call a kitten Minu? I said, no, Minot. It's a little fit, but I like that. So it's Minot Minu is the name of the young kitten. Oh, how do you do Speed? I'm actually a fan of the comic who first did Speed the Turtle, Stephen. Oh gosh, my memory. Stand-up comic, Stephen. He was the original Speed the Turtle. Sorry, but he delivers his speech, his comedy, sort of nasal and monotone and whatever. And I just listened. I was a fan of his. Stephen Wright, of course. Thank you. I'm a huge Stephen Wright fan, so I was very familiar with his comedy and his voice. I love his stuff. It's a small world, but I wouldn't want to have to paint it. That was one of his jokes, which I remember. So I was already familiar with him. So when the auditions came, he didn't want to reprise the role. He did the original film, didn't want to keep going. So they wanted sound-alikes for him, and I went, man, I bet I could do a Stephen Wright because I was so familiar with his stuff. Went in and auditioned, and was fortunate enough to get it. And we've done every year and a half or so. We're doing another Swan Princess, and that's also a wonderful thing too because it's a lot of little girls really like it. And I'll be at Kitty Bungalow, and I'll meet a 22-year-old volunteer from the university or whatever. She go, "Oh, you do voiceover? Like what? Which ones?" And I'll name some. And if it goes Swan Princess, they'll go, "Oh my God, I love Swan Princess! I grew up when I was a little girl. I used to watch Swan." So, which makes you feel good, makes you feel really cool that you're part of a child's magic growing up. So I like doing Speed. He's a fun character. He does comedy, but he does it like Stephen Wright style, very slow and just a little under the waves. Naruto, yeah, 20 years. Well, I'm going to sign off, everybody. I'm going to thank you all so much for joining me here. It was a lot of fun. I think I got everything signed that I was supposed to. I will double check and make sure we didn't leave anybody out. And hopefully we'll do this again sometime. Why not, right?